Somebody reminded me in the comments the other day of a recipe that I used to love making but haven't done it in a very long time, and it was inspired by this yellow sticker purchase that I got the other day, and the recipe is Kedgeree. Now, I haven't made this in years, and a recipe like that is over and above my budget, which is probably why I haven't made it in years. So today I'm going to do a poor man's version of it, which is pretty much how I cook now. So if I see a recipe that I really want to do, but there might be 3 or 4 ingredients that I can't afford, I'll just swap them out and then swap something else in. So Kedgeree for me, and I know that there are probably lots of very different versions, for me would be smoked haddock. You would have spinach, cream, rice, and I think, I can't remember if I said egg. Egg goes in there, hard-boiled egg goes in there, and I think mushrooms. So I'm going to swap a bunch of ingredients out and show you how I do that. So we have the smoked bassa, which was £1.67, is now 67p. I am going to include a mushroom. I am also going to include some of the spring onions that I bought the other week and that I've had in water because they'll just keep growing. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in. Let's pull out a couple of those. I'm quite flush with eggs at the moment. Lots of yellow stickers on eggs, so I am going to put an egg in there, really splashing out at the moment. I've got my rice. For flavour, I'm going to add half a stock cube, and instead of the spinach, I'm going to finally chop some of the kale that I bought the other week, which was 59p, now 44p. I've got a bit left, so I'm going to put that in it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to overmake this recipe. It'll look like a lot because I'm going to make enough for dinner as well. Because very often I'll do that. If I'm doing a one-pan dish, I'll make too much so that in the evening I have the same healthy meal, but I don't, and I just have to like heat it up a bit. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is hard boil the egg. So egg in the pan. And one of the other things I like to do is not overuse on energy and utilities. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with this water. So first thing I'm going to do is hard boil my egg, and then once that's been on for, I don't know, once it gets to a boiling level, I'll let it boil for 5 minutes. I'll take it off, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with the water afterwards. I'm also going to get my biggest pan, because as I say, I'm going to make this for 2 meals. I'm going to have to move you around a bit. I'm hoping you can see everything at once, but we'll see how we get on. What else do I want? Oh, I'm going to put a little bit of oil in the pan. I am going to get a knife. That would be a good start. So hopefully you can see this okay. I'm trying to do everything. Get rid of the remains of my bagel from about half an hour ago. So first off, chopping off my spring onions here. This can go back in water and then they will sprout. Here's some that have been in for a week or so. You see how they've started to re-sprout again, and then you can cut those. So I'm going to pop those 2 in there and just add a bit more water because you don't want them to go dry. That's that. So let's take off any dead bits. And I'm going to just chop these up. And when you're doing recipes like this, you don't have to follow my rules. These are just ideas. I'm using these things because I have them in the fridge. They've already been paid for, they will need to be eaten, and this enables me to make a fun recipe. That's my spring onions. Now I'm going to do the mushroom. I'm going to chop him in half. Let's cut into quite small bits, I think. There we go. So that's ready to go. I'm just waiting for my egg. In the meantime, I am going to throw an entire cup of rice. It's not a big cup, but I'm going to load this up because this is the bulk of the meal that's going to keep me fed for the rest of the day. With my stock cube, I tend to do half a stock cube when I'm throwing them into recipes, and I'm going to just take half out there. Egg's just starting to boil, so I'll take that heat down a little bit. Right, so let's put that over there for the minute. Here's our fish. Does just smell like pretty much like a smoked haddock, and it looks like one, so that's pretty good. So there's our fish. That's going to go into the pan with the oil, and I'm going to lightly fry that, and then that will break up into pieces. Right, our egg is done. There we go. Right, I'm going to take this out and put it aside. Then I'm going to take this lovely hot water that's all ready to go. I'm going to put my stock cube in the hot water, put my rice in, and then put this whole thing back on the hob. Because what's the point in doing 2 lots of water? So, there's that. Then let that egg cool for a moment. Fish is looking good. And now I'm going to add the onion and the mushrooms to that fish. You can kind of see what I'm doing there. So this is now going to go in. Drop more oil just to stop that sticking. Shush that rice around a little bit so it doesn't stick. And that stock cube will infuse nicely with the rice. So that it's already got its flavour in it before it goes into the other pan. Now, you may have noticed that I don't tend to put timings in when I'm making things, and that's because I have no idea. I very much stick it in the pan, taste it. If it looks cooked, if it tastes cooked, it's probably cooked. And that's generally how I do everything, from cakes in the oven to things in the pan on the hob. You may also have noticed that I often put water into my pan dishes. It's cheaper than oil, it's healthier than oil, and it really does the same job. So I tend to put a splash of oil in the pan to start the recipe, and then as it starts to get a bit dry, I will put water in, and I will keep adding the water as and when it's necessary. Excuse the flashing light, I think I have a bulb going. But I really fancied the light on this recipe today. Right, 1 egg. Ready? Ah, it's still hot. Just going to peel that. Hopefully that's cooked enough. I'm really bad at eggs. Oh dear. One egg. Kind of. I lost a bit too much of the outside. I'm too impatient with my eggs. There we go. Anyway, that'll do. That'll do. So, our rice is almost done. Very quick to do the rice because it was already straight into the hot water. So I'm going to switch that off because we don't need that anymore. The main pan I've already switched off because I don't want to overcook anything. So what I'm going to do now is chop up all my kale. And this is how you oomph up a meal with plenty of healthy stuff. Just load up on the veg. So let's get chopping that. I've only rough chopped it a bit. Doesn't need much. So pan back on low. Let's add the kale. There we go. There's the kale. And then we'll start adding the rice. Now, there's the rice. All that water has been absorbed. And look at the lovely pale yellow colour where that stock cube has infused it. So I'm going to tip all this in. Don't waste a grain. Right. Give that a good old stir in. Doesn't look like there's enough for 2 meals here, but there will be. And if you want, you could pad this out with more ingredients. You could put more mushrooms in it, more kale. You can also add other vegetables if you want. Carrots, whatever you've got to hand really. So that's that. Let's put you in closer so you can see what I'm doing next. And now I'm just going to literally chop this egg in bits. Nice yolk in there. This meal has got everything in it you need. It's got all your proteins, all your fibres, all your carbs for the day. Perfect. There we go. I'm going to stir that in. That kale needs a little bit of time to cook, so I'm just going to add another dose of water, and we're going to leave that on a low heat and let that sit for a little bit and just let it all infuse. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? Tell me that doesn't look amazing. Taste test. Ready? That is so good. Oh, that is just so good. Oh. And look at all of that for tea. My teas are lighter than my lunches. My lunch is my main meal of the day, and then I have a smaller amount. If I'm going to do the same thing, it'll be a slightly smaller amount in the evening. But this sort of cooking is what makes my days worthwhile. This is so good. Give it a go. Swap out the ingredients that you do have and make your own version, and it is so worth it. I'm going to go and finish this now because I'm so hungry. Catch you later.